Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I'm really excited. I've got a special guest with us, Gary Muehling, who is the president of MI Remodelers. They're located in Rochester, Michigan. They actually have 3 locations across Oakland County. So, really excited to have Gary on. He has been a rock star, got a great team. They've done a lot of awesome work. Been with us for a good little while too. So, want to welcome you to Builder Stories, Gary.
Thank you very much for having me, Eric.
Absolutely. So, why don't you give us a little bit of background, who you are, how'd you get into construction in the first place, and what led you to start up the remodeling business?
Thank you. Yeah, this is my 20th year in construction, and I started a business when I was young and failed, and I went to work for larger businesses and saw how they did things differently, and I reopened and tried again at construction, and over the years I've really learned a lot, and I've always loved helping people. And so being a home remodeling contractor allows me to help people every day. And we do a lot more than just changing out old doorknobs. We change people's lives.
It's awesome, man. So you started your own business, and then, you said it failed. I mean, like what happened? Like, what do you, now that you know everything you do, like when you look back on that, like, what do you think, like, was there anything in particular that caused you to fail, or just a bunch of things, or like, what do you reflect on?
My career has been primarily focused on roofing. And as a residential roofer 20 years ago, I was taught how roofing was done by fellow installers who may or may not have done things right, may or may not have been trained on how to do it properly, may or may not have known code. And so I learned how not to do it before I learned how it's supposed to be done properly. Had the good benefit of working with Certainteed Roofing for many years. I've been trained on how to install shingles, how to install ventilation at the manufacturer's level. They have a lot of great educational opportunities and credentialing programs. And that's with every roofing manufacturer pretty much.
Sure. So what ended up though, like, kind of how did you know when you needed to shut down the business and go work for someone else?
Well, when I was young and stupid and broke, I had no business being the owner of a business. And as a young 20-something-year-old, I didn't have the proper licensing. I didn't know what types of insurance was required. I had no idea how to prevent liability or how to pull a building permit. And working for larger, more established companies that win and follow all the rules, I learned how the opposite end of the spectrum worked when you have a leads machine, when you have a sales process, when you have layers of management and supervision. And so ultimately, what's worked well for me is I've been able to divide my business into 2 separate sectors. We really have a marketing sales business, and we have a project management and installation business.
Nice.
So dividing those gave me the ability to start tracking the daily results separately. And those are 2 departments that I personally feel like run really efficiently and are profitable.
Yeah. So you did something really smart there by going back and getting experience and being able to learn from others and seeing the successes that you were able to then take and apply to your business that you started back up after sounds like a couple of years of working for someone else. What role did you have when you went back to work for someone else?
Thank you for asking that. So after only being in business for a couple of years as a roofing and siding company and failing, I then went to work for an established company as sales.
Okay.
Got to see how they run appointments and make demonstrations and turn no's into yeses and win business. And then I was promoted to sales management. So I got to see how the general manager of a sales business that had several offices operated. I got to participate in seeing satellite offices created at multiple big name companies. And those experiences were very valuable for me because corporate companies that are larger and nationally owned have a lot of processes in place that smaller, less established companies have. And so I learned on a high level how to run a tight ship.
That's awesome.
But things changed a lot over the years. Back then, our primary lead sources were canvassing, TV, and phone room.
Phone room, huh?
Before the Facebook of the world and things like that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Must have been a little bit harder.
Well, I think it actually is harder now because to compete on the digital arena is a new challenge for a lot of non-tech savvy great tradesmen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you putting yourself into that bucket there?
I am less tech savvy than probably most people that are under 40.
Yeah.
But
So-
I think most carpenters are probably not very tech savvy.
Sure. So what year was it when you refounded, started up the new business?
I opened MI Remodelers in 2019.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was the VP of a roofing company. Actually, that company that failed originally, later we reopened it. I operated as the VP, and that company we were able to grow. I think today they do around 6 million or so.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so are you still involved in that as well as?
No. So in 2019, when I opened my own company, right before COVID, I moved on from the VP of that company because I wanted to do things beyond roofing and siding.
Sure.
And as a general contractor today, I build beautiful garages and additions, and we pour decorative concrete that looks like stone and get to participate in a number of different, very satisfying capacities every day. Interior and exterior complete residential remodeling is what MI Remodelers offers the public every day. And by providing design services and helping clients visualize their renovation, we really find a way to help a client envision the end before we're mid-construction.
Yeah. So it's so it sounds like that transition from roofing was was a lot more exciting of the type of work. I mean, obviously, putting ripping a roof and putting it back on. I mean, now homeowners not hanging out up there and getting it's kind of one of those basic necessities, right? And being able to get into the remodeling side, you seem to have a little bit more passion about that.
Well, being a professional roofer, you have to become capable at performing structural carpentry. Sometimes, like replacing all the sheets of wood underneath the shingles. Sometimes there's siding and trim work where the roof meets the siding that has to be addressed. There's tons of custom metal bending work. And then if you replace a lot of roofs, all these homes typically have drywall or plaster damage, or sometimes do. So what I found is that roofers try and stay replacing roofs, but they don't often want to do some of the elements that are required to do a roof properly. For example, we remediate mold. So we inspect attics. When we find moisture impaction, we recommend cleaning and remediating, replacing wood that has mold on it, wiping down rafters and joists, upgrading moisture impacted insulation. So all these things most roofers don't want to do are part of a proper solution for homeowners to receive a better quality result. A lot of roof jobs that roofers do, later there will be a leak from the siding because where the roofing and the siding meet, the roofer ended his work with the roof, and now there's a need for a siding guy. So by doing the roofing and the siding together, we ultimately prevent any future issues that wouldn't be covered by their warranty.
It's interesting. That's really great to know. I'm actually about to have my roof replaced next week, so I appreciate the insight there.
Do you have any dormers?
Do we have any dormers? I don't know.
There are the majority of the roof is flat area, not valleys, not up against walls, and usually the details are like around the chimney and around the walls of dormers that many roofers get it wrong. But I'm sure you've got a good roofer in your area already.
Yeah. So you're talking about kind of like where like the window and the sort of it would come out.
Yeah, that's a scenario where a roof would extend out of an existing roof, and so there's a wall maybe with windows.
Yep. So we do have one of those right there in the front, which has also been a source of a leak for us in the past.
Side that dormer at the same time if you can.
Okay.
Because if they tear off the siding, then their underlayments can go up the wall, and it'll be like a new construction flashing setup, and it'll be watertight forever.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to do. Because later, if you do the siding over, when they take off the siding, wherever the roofer ended their material, it's only an inch or two up past the transition point.
Sure. Yeah, we've actually had one hell of a story dealing with this whole roofing area, some insulation. My daughter's room is right there, kind of under that, or right next to that, where that dormer there is, and she has a small little attic space attached to her closet, and we were struggling to keep her room temperature the right kind of, it was either too hot or too cold, and we were like, oh well, we just need to insulate this little attic area. And my neighbor a few doors down owned an insulation company. Say, oh, we'll just come in and do some spray foam, kind of just spray foam the whole thing up, and it'll be good to go. And we're like, all right, cool, and so let her come in and did that, but ultimately there wasn't the proper ventilation in there, and so the spray foam never cured, and ended up like getting into my daughter's like into her system. We actually found she had like some crazy level of flame retardant in her body. And then to make things worse, we had a little bit of a leak that was coming in, and so like it created a mold situation up in there, and so now she's got flame retardant. We had mold in her system and a lot of our systems, and it was just like this huge like catastrophe that like we've been dealing with for years and years. And so we're finally on the last step where we know we need a new roof altogether. We had already made the repairs to that one area, but I've had multiple people point out that like the way that the roof has kind of been repaired was more of a patch job versus trying to get it, done the right way. And so, we've just reached a point where we're just redoing the whole thing, and hopefully kind of put this whole thing behind us. But definitely been a really crappy situation for my wife and family and I to have to deal with.
Well, when you replace the roof, make sure that the roofing contractor understands that any sheets of wood that have moisture impaction on them should be removed, whether they're structurally intact or not. If there's discoloration, if there's water stains, the right way to replace that roof would be to resheet that area with new wood.
Yeah, that's
and if there's any insulation that's moisture impacted, that should definitely come out while the roof's open. That way that gross air comes out the tap through the roof instead of out through your home one day if it ever has to be remediated.
Yeah. Well, so it's been a long journey for us. I've got a job trade contractor doing it for us. I'll get get to see the play-by-play and everything, and the in the daily logs and the photos and everything there. But yeah, it's interesting. I do see in general, like what we've been learning is we've been getting into the roofing space a lot more. And I think one of the unique advantages of JobTread has been that, like, we can handle more than just roofing projects. And so we're starting to see roofers like kind of wanting to take on more of those, remodel type projects, getting a little bit more on the interior. Sounds like kind of similar situation for you. Is that a common trend in the industry, or do you see a lot of roofers just not ever want to move into the inside or take on additional work?
Well, I feel like I'm giving away the secret sauce of how I find my best success, but a number of roofing projects that I end up winning are not leads that people found me for their roof. So as a general contractor, I replace bathrooms and kitchens. I design additions and build them. And so I get a lot of people who want to finish their basement. And through the process of designing their basement, we determine that their electrical service needs to be upgraded. And then we find that inside their attic, maybe there's some discoloration from a bath vent that's not properly ducting. That's a real popular problem in our area because we have freezing temperatures. So when the hot air from your shower enters a really cold attic, it condensates. And that's the way they built homes in our area for 100 years. So once we've built a relationship with a client enough to inspect their attic, we're able to find a lot of moisture impaction on the underside of roofs. And we have a solution: replace the roof, replace the sheets of wood, replace water impacted insulation, wipe down with antimicrobial all lumber that has stains on it, like trusses.
So you guys are coming in, and you may be brought in for one particular kind of remodel project, but it sounds like you're really doing like a full assessment of the entire home, the living situation. Is that true? Is that kind of the approach here?
Yeah. What I found in all my career is every company I ever worked at were more of a niche company, and they wanted to stay in their lane. And so 100 times someone would buy siding for $40,000, and we'd have to turn them away for the deck. Sorry, we just do siding, hire a deck guy.
Yeah.
And the siding and the deck actually go together. Like you build the deck, and then you flash the deck, and then you side the wall.
Yep.
So to be a sider and refuse to build a deck, you miss a lot of revenue, and it's great business if you already have a $40,000 siding project to also build a 250 square foot deck.
Sure.
So for me to make a commitment to learn framing carpentry and exterior and interior, I get my own personal builder's license and develop a commitment to learning. I don't send people away now that would like a new deck with their siding. I actually recommend it.
Yeah.
I think that every deck should be covered now with a real nice metal roof even.
Yeah, I'm sure those metal roofs, my parents have one. They love it. It's obviously a lot more expensive, but they absolutely love it.
Metal is forever.
Yeah.
Eric, you could get a metal roof that in 50 years is still musket brown, pre-finished, similar to an automobile exterior finish.
Guess if you got your forever home, then makes total sense to do that.
Well, I bet the longer you're responsible for a home, the more a metal roof would be justifiable, because after an asphalt roof has reached its time and been replaced again, at your age, you'd be replacing it again. So in your age, you'd buy 2 roofs, or an expensive one now. That next roof in 20 years will be a lot more expensive too, I'm sure.
No.
With inflation.
So what's
Triple maybe?
What's that?
I imagine it'll be triple the price in 20 or 30 years for a roof replacement.
Yeah. So what's your, like, when you get a new lead, like what's your full process look like from someone finding you? You got a website, or are you converting them there? Like kind of, getting into it. Like, are you, you're pre-qualifying? Are you going out on site? Kind of what's the whole sales process look like for you?
Yeah, well, I'm I am learning the job tread system, and to maximize it, we use job tread for our appointment results, for building out all of our quotes, and then the entire project management. But we also work with Go High Level for our lead engagement. And so we have, basic automations when someone requests a quote to prompt them via text and email to schedule a time for a quote. And we collect information via text or on the phone or via email, and ultimately build out a detail for our estimator to work from as we determine if this is an eligible customer. We currently go out and meet with our customers in order to give them a quote, and we're really excited to learn the Shin Fu Tom Rebar contractor fight way as we are entering Battleground now.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great program. Would you say that, like, have you always been the one that's doing the sales, or do you have other people on your team that are also doing sales?
So I wish that I could do the sales. It's probably the most fun part of my business, meeting people, learning about their needs and their wants for a project, understanding what pain points they have, and then ultimately helping them find a solution. It's been the most satisfying part of my career. As I grew from just doing sales, I evolved into project management because I understood the process of sales. That allowed me to understand how to take that sale through a successful installation.
Sure.
And initially, when I started in construction 20 years ago, I started out doing installations and sales as my small company. So when I worked in sales later, I had an advantage because I understood a little more about how a roof or how a siding project is installed. And so after doing sales, being a project manager was something I had to experience in order to ever own a business and run it right. Now that I understand a lot more about construction, not only am I more effective as a salesperson, but I'm better capable of teaching salespeople or consultants how to assist clients every day.
Sure.
So because they have a problem and we have a solution, and if we can understand their problem and understand what would be an agreeable solution, at that point we could be considered for the project.
Yep. So what does your team look like? Your full team right now?
We have 4 consultants that meet with homeowners every day, and most of our consultants specialize in roofing, siding, fencing, gutters. And a couple of our consultants, myself included, we could design your addition, your deck, your sunroom, complete home remodel, new home build. So we offer a lot of things, and we try to accommodate everyone. We have a bit of design background and experience, so we love to take clients through the process of a complicated remodel and educate them. What we found is that with the right information, many people that start contracting and start excavating and building things would never have started the process. They think that a price point is realistic, and people don't invest in educating them. They're looking for low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And so I, on the other hand, enjoy working with people through the process to understand the reality up front beforehand, rather than through the process of change orders and extras along the way. And honestly, this is my favorite time to shout out Job Tread, because what you guys have given our business is something that is absolutely priceless. How we can catalog our products and our services. As a general contractor, I can operate 500 line items for different amounts that things cost. And I can do this from my desk when I'm listening to the Dave Ramsey show at 8 a.m. And then my reps are able to just plop in the codes and provide estimates quickly, digitally, concisely, and in a fashion that people are able to interact with them quickly. A lot of customers complain that the thing contractors alike struggle with is lack of communication and lack of structure. And so JobTread provides us that, and we get more compliments from high-level, high-end clients, the very particular, specific, detailed engineers and attorneys of the world. And so shout out to you and your company for building such an awesome product.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, what's your, for those high-end projects, what would you say your average price point is there?
So just over 80,000 is our average job. And we this year are on pace to do around 4 million in business.
Nice.
I think that because we're a major renovations contractor, we typically have around a $2.5 million backlog of work. And so some projects are sold this week and completed in 4 weeks, but some projects are sold this week and designed over the winter and permitted next spring and ground broken on next summer. So what's been great with JobTread is learning how to manage my jobs from, I can run my business from my cell phone with JobTread, what would require a desktop computer for many things otherwise.
It's awesome. So do you have the design capabilities in-house, or are you partnering with the, third-party designers to do this?
So I guess that would depend. And by the way, AI really makes things easier in that regard. But we spent a long time developing design guides for the 14 different things we offer a lot. So if I were invited out to design your deck or porch, I might show you a wood frame deck, a concrete poured deck, maybe a brick paver patio at grade, maybe a brick paver patio raised, maybe that could have a roof over it, but maybe just railings. So there's 10,000 options. It could have glass enclosure like a solarium. So we have a lot of standard design and rendering access. Hover, for example, is a great one for roofing and siding.
Yep.
So we have a partnership with Hover. We love to show someone in person while we're sitting with them what that yellow siding with that blue roof would look like. And if you were really strongly interested in hiring me for your James Hardy, and I show you that these colors, these 7 colors, if you pick one of them, they're a standard price point, or we can go up and you can pick this different price point for custom colors. It enables customers to make buying decisions sooner. And I believe the statistic is somewhere around 20% people spend more when they can see samples and renderings of their project.
Yeah, I'd believe that.
So for roofing and siding, it's easy, but it's a lot more difficult for interior remodeling.
Sure.
If I were to replace your kitchen cabinets and take out a wall and change the floor plan for how you use your kitchen, that's something that could be very custom to design. So we used to charge money to do design, and then a lot of times we would design beautiful things and give them a quote, and ultimately the price of what we designed isn't within their budget, and we would lose the sale.
Yeah.
Now what we do is we offer design services for free to everyone. So if you hire our company, we go through a process of multiple people working through the options along the way to make sure that all the choices are ones that make the most sense and we invest extra time to learn what their future projects might consist of. We're replacing a roof, for example, and they have old siding. And if you're to pick your roof color, Eric, based on your current siding, you might not love it 20 years down the road or 10 years down the road when you paint your siding a different color.
Sure.
So if I made you pick your future siding color and spent 2 hours with you and the missus at Sherwin-Williams, and you found that you really liked this lightning blue, and then you went with a black roof instead of a brown one, most of the time you live in this home, you'd have the more attractive future exterior color you like.
Sure. So it's how do you say you offer the design services for free once they become a customer. So what does that engagement look like? Are you essentially kind of giving them, here's our construction agreement, or basically you've given them a scope of work, but allowing them to make their design selections later. So like, are they getting an allowance, and do they know what the cost is going to be going into this, or how do you work that?
So we have some templates for standard stuff, like a complete bathroom remodel by the square footage. We have a pretty standard price range, and we have different levels. So you would want a really high-end bathroom remodel, and so we would know up front that you might pick a $1,749 shower head, and we would put that in up front, and you might actually save money when you go to the Grohe supplier and finally pick your final selections. I think you wanted the gold trim, so I include that all in there. And then you pick the brushed nickel, and it's actually $100 cheaper. It would be an error to assume a high-end bathroom wouldn't come with a more expensive drain and a better Curdy system behind the tile.
Sure.
So understanding what can be done, and understanding that the most popular complaint a customer has at the end of a major renovation is they wish they had started with a professional design. A designer, most folks think that starting with a professional design would raise the cost and delay things, but our research shows that starting with a professional design actually saves time and money. And I have this really funny story. I'll try to keep this brief, but we had a kitchen project for $28,000. A client had 8 quotes and chose us. And each time we came out to remeasure her cabinets to order them, she asked for something extra. First one, it was take out a wall. Second one was take out another wall. Then it was the floors throughout the whole home. Next, it was all the electrical and insulation. So we ended up completely gutting this entire home, and after 20-some change orders, she was in for $160,000.
Wow.
And the last day we were tiling the bathroom, she asked for more tile. And I remember just sitting outside of my truck. I was 1 box short of tile that day because she wanted to add 16 square feet. And I had never offered this option, apparently, because she always would have wanted tile behind the toilet. I'm sure you probably have tile behind your toilet, right?
I can't say I do.
So I learned a very, very expensive lesson, and that's that if I allow customers to make decisions one at a time throughout a remodel, I stress them out, I stress myself out, you get lost in the chaos of change orders, and the customer's experience is affected. So investing in the process of designing things is an investment in your relationship with your customer. It's one that's challenging to do pre-sale. So we typically find out if we're a good fit. We take a small deposit, maybe 10% for a $30,000 bathroom. And so then with a $3,000 commitment, we give them everything we got and try to design something great. And usually they find tile that's $30 a foot. And our budget says $8 a foot. And of course, the price goes up.
Oh.
And it allows them to work through the process of seeing what all is out there and what can be done. And then once we get the pricing finalized, then you can work your way up from there or down. Sometimes people would say, wow, this came in below budget. Let's go do the other bathroom at the same time. And sometimes they hold off a few months to reallocate funds to make sure that this is a blessing and not a curse.
Yep. So how many projects are you running at one time?
So we're probably on 6 to 10 job sites a day. Some of our jobs are several months, like a major addition and whole home renovation. And many jobs can be completed in just a few working days or a couple weeks. So we're always participating in different projects. No two projects are ever the same, just like no two clients are ever the same.
Yeah.
And we have a high level of repeat customers, and we have a high level of customers that are referring similar great customers. So our marketing is just a small percentage, really, of how we get new leads. A lot of them are just loving the current customers we have. Sometimes we'll have a project that lasts several months. And so what we do at least once a week, even during the process when we're waiting on things to be ordered and for permits, we just do an update to tell them what's going on. And oftentimes it could be a little redundant because we told them last week kind of the same thing, and we posted it in their portal, but everyone doesn't read the portal. Everyone doesn't value our portal like we do. So in order to satisfy all my customers, I have to call them, I have to text them, I have to email them, and sometimes post on their portal. And most people feel like we care because we communicate so much.
Yeah. I mean, that's your dream contractor right there, is somebody who's over communicating versus under communicating. I mean, so many people just feel like they don't, they don't know what's happening, and they're not part of the whole experience. And so it just, it's easy for the mind to wonder and think, oh, things aren't going on, and what's happening? Something must be wrong. Like, I think when you take that time to keep them up to date, it really does get that buy-in for them and gets them feeling like they're part of this journey. I think that's absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, I'm in all these local business network LBN groups, and they teach very basic things about networking. And they say that people hire companies that they like and trust. Like, know, and trust. That's their three: like, know, and trust. So by being likable, by caring, and by following the laws and simple basic stuff, hopefully people feel that, and that's why they're able to move forward. Our average job being $82,000 has been something that I had to adjust, because much of my career, my average job was around $8,000. So just replacing a roof for $8,000 turned to replacing all the wood and all the insulation with new trim and gutters, or something like that. So it's a completely different client experience when I can't show up and leave that same week with your finished bathroom.
Sure.
In fact, in Michigan, we have to pull electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and building permits just to remodel a bathroom. So there could be upwards of 10 inspections.
Wow.
And a bathroom could take 2 months to replace now.
Wow. That's sounds like quite the process there.
In Michigan, the building department believes that everything should be inspected to prevent the homeowner from receiving subpar work. I would want your plumbing drain to definitely be inspected before you install mosaic, marble tile in your shower. That's, it's not reversible. So it's valuable that the inspectors around here want to see the roof decking, that the wood is good, and that there's ice and water shield in areas where you have snow is what keeps you from having leaks in the winter time.
Yeah.
and it's an expensive product. A lot of roofers, if no one were looking and no one knew and they didn't use it, they would pocket the money. So an inspector's there to make sure that the homeowner doesn't receive a subpar job. It all looks the same once the shingles are installed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, it's different in every part of the country, so.
Of course.
I'm curious, how do you, do you got a lot of jobs going on with, sounds like a lot of different potential trades. Are you leveraging trade partners for this? Do you have any in-house, carpenters, crews? Like, how are you getting the work done from a labor standpoint?
So that is definitely something worth talking about. So I have worked with all employees. I've worked with all subs, and I now have found a sweet spot in the middle where I have a blend of both.
Okay.
So I own a dump truck, but I nearly never use it anymore because it turns out my subcontractor who has a dump truck, he treats his dump truck a lot better than he ever treated mine. And my roofing installers would never, ever have the right amount of hammers and ladders. And they'd always say, hey, listen, the reason why this job didn't get done today is because, Bob didn't have a hammer all day and we only had one ladder. So we couldn't work on the whole roof. We only worked on the garage today. Years later, those same guys, I invested in them and they invested in themselves and they developed their own install company. And they found out a way that every job that used to take 2 days now could be done in one. They used to tear off the roof from the bottom up. Now they go up to the top and tear off the roof from the top down. It couldn't be done before, they said, in under 8 hours. Now it's done in 2 hours, the tear off.
It's funny how that happens, huh?
They said the first week they were in business for themselves, they went and bought 4 extra hammers. They said, we don't have time to sit around anymore and wait for someone to bring us a hammer. They bought 4 more tear-off bars. And there was this guy, Brad, who had been on the job forever. I hope he doesn't see this. And Brad, honestly, he was a really nice guy, but I think he talked too much. And so the guys were like, we're not bringing Brad anymore because we can just do the work without Brad and still get it done. So less guys now install roofs in less time, and they definitely found ways to become more efficient. They even bought an extra ladder now.
That's funny. Okay. Goes to show, man, it's all about finding the right combination of workers, and however you can get them as motivated as possible. So it sounds like you invested and helped them get set up as their own business, and boy, they certainly got focused on that efficiency.
So what I've had the good fortune of doing over the years is helping great installers develop great businesses. I look at an install business to be like a partner for an installation. So if I'm your roofer and you're my general contractor, you're in the marketing and sales arena. Every day you're buying leads, you're running appointments, you're getting rejected, you're following up. It's a whole process. You meet 100 people, you get 10 roofs.
Yep.
The installers don't need to hear about the 100, they need to hear about the 10. Yep. So I try to prevent any installers from ever going to the job by doing pre-construction work as if they went to the job, looking at it from their lens so that they can run a profitable business. Most great installers are great at installing, and when they're self-employed, they on average spend around half their time doing the trade they're great at and half the time struggling with the business end. By the way, I'm talking about myself right now. So where I've found the greatest success over the years is helping an individual develop a great install company where he can focus on going to installs and performing great installations. He can be responsible for managing the personnel associated with that job site. And then I work on my end on making sure he's got so much work that he can afford to pay people well. And ultimately, installers that are specialists do the best quality installation. Your roofing contractor, God, I hope he doesn't most of the time do carpets, but today he's doing a roof.
Yeah.
Because you have a different truck, you have a different setup, you have a different training.
Sure. So do you find that, are you, from a cost perspective, using your own guys versus using now, a specialist who set up their own company, a subcontractor, how do you compare the cost of those two?
I hope my insurance agent watches this video. I have learned that the best way for me to grow my company at this stage is that internally, my employees do not self-perform most installations. Door installation here and there, maybe if it's a scheduling situation, a small LVP laminate floor job, maybe. But most of the time, all of our project managers do is work with our crews and work with our homeowners and be the liaison. And so I have a great installer who is kind of like a handyman, and he's wonderful, and he takes on all sorts of projects that involve painting with me. I figure out the colors of the paint, what walls they'll go on. I get the paint. I keep it inside. I schedule everything. My painter shows up, performs his trade, and sends me a bill the same day. He can keep moving from job to job doing wonderful painting because my team and I take the measurements, figure out all the in-between stuff. We have a dumpster there for debris. The homeowner is scheduled with a lockbox so that they can show up and do their job. We need them, of course, and they need us for this relationship to work each day.
Yeah.
And I have a job that I've been working through for 2.5 years, and the contractor has never heard their name once until a week or 2 or 4 before they start work there. And within days of when they start, they send me a juicy invoice and get paid.
All right. Yeah, sounds like you've really dialed this in to figure out the optimal way to manage this in the most efficient and cost effective process, and you're getting that quality work for that specific trade that you need done while being able to, again, take on more jobs, maintain your margins, maintain your cost, your schedule. I mean, sounds like you really dialed it in, man.
Have you ever heard of Equipter?
Equipter? No, I haven't.
Equipter's a fantastic company. They own these special roof dump trailers for roofing companies, and extends up to the roof line. And when you tear off the roof, you throw the debris into the Equipter instead of on the ground. You got a bunch of beautiful flowers. When they tear off a roof, typically all the material from your roof lands on the ground and you're landscaping.
No.
So the Equipter has these fantastic trailers that are motorized. It's like a miniature vehicle, and it can extend up to the roof and take all that debris right into the dump trailer, and then I can drive the dump trailer to the foot of your driveway. Maybe the dumpster's at the curb.
Yeah.
Instead of blocking your garage. And so that, for example, is one piece of equipment that I invest in. I have spent almost over $150,000 on Equipters, and we just had a new one delivered this week. And so each one of those prevents 2 to 3 laborers on a roof job.
Wow.
So if you were my subcontractor, you get paid by the job. Let's say you look to make $6,000 in labor for replacing a roof. If I provide you with a machine that takes 2 to 3 guys off your payroll, that means that everyone on the crew just got a raise.
Yeah.
And when you have a big roof job, the crew often will get delayed, and their schedule gets messed up because there's a full day worth of cleanup and mess. And if you do that by hand, skilled guys that can install shingles, those guys could be shingling at the next job site. So by providing an Equipter, my team is able to do more roofs a week, collect more pay, And then my homeowners are happier because the install happens faster with less mess and less damage to landscaping.
No, that's smart. I just looked up. It doesn't look like we've got a place to rent the equipters in Dallas. Looks like the nearest one's Austin. So,
well, the good roof contractors own them.
Okay, all right. So they're buying it.
They buy them because no matter what happens with your with personnel, unfortunately, on roof jobs, sometimes guys have stuff come up and they don't make it to work, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's hard work, especially in Texas. It's very hot down there. You burn your hand just touching the surface of the roofing in Michigan when it's hot. So that machine shows up every single day. It's got run flat tires on it. You can run over 90 nails and it will still operate. Tremendously reliable.
Awesome.
A 5-man crew can do what an 8-man crew is typically required to do with just that machine.
It's awesome. I love it.
So it's like a moneymaker for people that do roofing.
Yeah. Sounds like a great hidden gem there. I want to ask you, so you've got a tagline there, the integrity guys. What does that mean, and how did you come up with that tagline, and what does it represent for you?
Thank you. What I have found in my career of learning how to be the best professional roofer and home remodeler is that there are a whole bunch of opportunities to cut corners and save money. And ultimately, the best results come from spending a little more money and a little more time on the details. So when you look from the lens of what's allowed by code and what's required by the install instructions, and then you just think about what a customer, what their perspective is, we're able to deliver a successful outcome and always protect our integrity. So I won't advertise that we have roofs from $49.99 on Facebook. I know a lot of guys out there that get tons and tons of sales that way, but you start off leading folks that may not have the budget for what your services cost. And then it's a kind of an uphill battle. Instead, we start out conditioning folks that actually roofing can be very expensive. There's a lot of liability. There's insurance that's required. You can't just send out 3 guys for the average roof. You need like a full crew. We talked about our motorized equipter. It's different than what it takes to be a lawn cutting company, for example. So by focusing on quality, by being of high integrity, we have been able to establish ourselves as a company capable of providing a custom solution complete. They wrote this really nice article in a big Detroit newspaper article, and they said that we take on the intricate, complicated projects that most companies would perhaps pass on, and we create happy customers from what would be, potentially like not the ideal customer for one of our competitors.
Sure. Well, that's awesome, man. I love that. And I think again, you set the tone for your people. Every job that they show up, every decision, every time that they represent the business, they have that in their mind, that they need to uphold the integrity of what you and the brand and everything represents. So I love it. I love how you put it right there below the logo.
Well, for your roof, for example, the roofers who are on your roof that work for the general manager of the crew who's doing your job, one person is probably responsible if the roof is not done right. And every guy under them has a limited future liability with you. But the individual who you sign with, they have accountability. So the parent company has no intention of skimping out on your job, but an installer who shouldn't be on the roof and they let him run a nail gun and he shouldn't, can do more bad than he can good.
No.
So what matters in that situation is what gets done about it. when you see that your pressure's too high and you're shooting nails through the shingles, and these shingles are likely going to blow off, do you stop? Do you turn the compressor off? Do you start tearing off the shingles until you find that they're right? Or do you just keep going and you go with the flow?
Yeah.
There's a big name company in town that's wonderful, and they have a tagline, something like, we do the right thing even when no one's looking. I really like that. And another company that's really good in town, they are the Carpet Guys, and they're really good. And so my old longtime friend who unfortunately passed away, he thought that the perfect tagline for our company would be the Integrity Guys, because when we're ever trying to make a decision about something, we work through the lens of integrity first. So if it's not allowed, if it's not legal, if it's not compliant with code, if it's not intended to be done by the manufacturer, it's not an option.
Yeah.
More services and problems happen with installations because someone cut corners with quality or with materials. It's usually a $500 thing that caused a $5,000 problem. And so I believe in spending the $500 all the time to avoid spending the $5,000.
Yeah. So I love it, man. So as we wrap up here, Gary, I'm curious, do you have any final thoughts, any advice that, when you think back about, your 20 or so years, being in construction, running a business, working for others, starting another business, like, is there anything that you wish you would have known, if you were to start over, like what advice would you give yourself, that might help others out there who are listening?
Absolutely. First off, I didn't find QuickBooks early enough, and I didn't find a good bookkeeper and a good CPA. And so I'm so glad that I have a bookkeeper and a CPA that are in harmony, and they specialize in working with contractors. So they're great at helping me keep my books clean and orderly. So that's been something that took me a long time to discover. I think that the sooner that I was able to stop spending money on things that didn't generate money, it allowed me to dial in and grow campaigns for lead generation that did make money. There's an endless opportunity of people that will accept your advertising money and not get you results. And there's a bunch of gimmicks that you can spend your money on that don't make money. And then there are some things that will work for your business that you should do a lot. I believe vehicle wraps, for example, have been something that have been very effective for my company. I get calls all the time. Every day I'm driving. Tom Rebar said in a podcast the other day that it's like $3 or $4 a day to have your vehicle wrapped on average. For $4 a day, you put yourself out there to the public in the area where you're working.
No. Man, Gary, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you sharing, your whole story, your journey, the challenges that you've had. Again, you've built a great business. You obviously lead with integrity. You've got a great team of people. The projects that you're doing, top notch. So I just appreciate you coming on here and sharing all this with all of our listeners today. It means a lot. It's been exciting to watch you continue to grow over the last several years, and I'm excited to see where the future takes you, man.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Great job. See you, man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.